we go. Right, so technology, just think. This is all being recorded, so we'll have to take it out of the edit, but it is being live streamed, but hey. Good, well, welcome everybody to Skydive the Expo and AGM 2023. Now, normally in the morning I spend a few minutes having some fun and games, but this year I'm going to keep it short. That's what I expected. So, but before we do, there's a few thank yous we need to make. So really our sponsors, Paratech, PD, UPT, Vigil and Romero, our exhibitors, our speakers, and the two people we've got here. Liam is our communications manager, and I'm sure you all know Kate. They've been working with me. They're very much responsible for the seminars that you have today. But of course, there are other people we should thank as well, which is of course the British skydiving staff. Without them, this event would not happen. And then our outsourced suppliers, being EpicTech, Event Pro, and the conference staff here. Now you can clap, make as much noise as possible. News. So here's some news for you. So this is the 13th AGM and Expo that I've organised. 12 of them live and 1 virtual. The big news is, it's going to be my last. There we go, there's a mixture there. So it's important this continues. I'm going to hand it over to somebody else, not sure who. But one of the key things is it relies on a lot of people. So what I am looking for before I hand it over is maybe some volunteers who'd like to be involved in what is the largest consumer skydiving event. So if you want to, come and chat to me, or you can email me. There we go. So, prize draw at 5 p.m. We got some great prizes, and as it's my last year, I've got some great challenges as well. Ooh, bit messy, one of them, but hey, it doesn't matter. But one of the good things is anybody can win, as we saw last year. And he's here today. Brilliant. So, one of the prizes needs to be used today, which is from Ultimate. Ooh, not the sort of feedback I get normally. So, one of the prizes needs to be used today. It's from Ultimate Ear Protection. Okay, and the molds need to be made today. So basically, I need you all to stand up because under one of your seats is a golden envelope. It's not Craig. It is well hidden, I believe. I didn't place it there, somebody else did this morning. Anybody found it? Does anybody want a clue? Are you in row G? All those in row G? Nobody knows where they are. Hey, we got a winner! So you need to go and see the guys down at Ultimate Ear. You've won a set of ear protection. Brilliant. Okay. Right, an apology. It's something I probably have to do quite a lot, to be honest, if I think about it. Last year, for my sins, when I handed over to Craig, I handed him a pint of beer, which really isn't the thing to do an AGM. So I really do need to apologise about that. So just to make up for it, I've got you a can of water, Craig. But don't shake, it's quite of the fizzy variety.
Thank you, Adrian.
That's okay. So that's enough from me. So I'm now going to hand over to Craig.
Good morning. Everyone hear me? Good, good. Welcome to the AGM 2023. That was me a year ago. It's been a tough year. I joked about it last year, chairs curse on the hair, and it's got me. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. So a bit more self-deprecating humour to start and relax everybody, including myself. Every year we ask for feedback so that we can improve the AGM. I think you'll all agree the AGM goes from strength to strength, in large part thanks to Mr. Adrian Bond. Thank you, Adrian, for all your sterling work over the years. And to ensure that we keep improving, we ask for feedback. Just to prove that we do read them, I had a look. Monotonous tone, wasn't very engaging. Try using more variety of pitch and tempo to keep the audience awake. Anybody want to own up to that one? Thanks, Adrian. Took way too long, fair enough. I'll put my hands up to that one. See, much more than other years. Didn't feel as if it had as much life in it as previous years. Yeah. I'm no Martin Soulsby, I'm sorry. Content of the AGM, very interesting, but delivery, yeah, we get the point. Some positives though. Some people thought it was much more concise than previous years. Analytics presented, but glossed over too quickly. And I'm going to take this one as a positive. A little too long, but truncated when I was talking. I don't know. I'll take that one as a positive. Still scored 4 out of 5 overall, out of 100 responses, so can't be that bad. What I take from this is you can't please all the people all the time, but I promise I will try and shorten it a little. And also, please keep providing the feedback. We do listen, and we do use it to improve. Just a bit of admin. Everyone should have seen, or might have seen the review there that was published yesterday, which contains a lot of reviews from the chairs and staff of the association, which is going to enable me to cut down a lot of my talk today, so I'm not going to talk about a lot of stuff that is in there already, so please read that. And also the accounts went out with the last magazine, I believe. We're going to be voting on those a little bit later, so hopefully you've seen those. Last year we had live voting, which was a bit confused, a bit hectic, so we're going to go back to a more traditional manner this year where we'll just see a show of hands in the room. We did also do the proxy voting in advance. There's the agenda. It will come up as I talk. Don't need to go into detail on that. Apologies for absence. As usual, Vice President John Smythe is away at the International Skydiving Committee plenary in Malmö in Sweden. Sends his apologies. Conflicts of interest. If you have any, please abstain from any of the votes that it applies to. First bit of interaction from you guys, just to confirm the minutes of last year's annual general meeting. If I could have a proposer for those, please. Somebody stick a hand up for me. Somebody must do. Thank you. Seconder. Great. Anybody want to abstain from that vote? Anybody against? They are carried. Thank you. Now, the main bits. My review of the year 2022. Sadly, the following members and ex-members have passed away this year. Dave Wood, Curly Jim Davis, Nicky Mumford, Dylan Morris Roberts, Ken Holmes, Martin Skirble, Dave Hunter, Edward Eddie Cubley, Sergeant Albert Hooker, Anne Fowler, Peter Fisher, Ross Bill Kearns, Sergeant Dean Waldo Walton, Laurie St John, Claire Armstrong, Chris Benyon, Helen Perry, Derek Ned Blythe, Emma Grant, Pete Herrick, Jarno Cordia, Dave Waugh, and Des Palmer. If you're able, please could you stand while we have 1 minute's silence while we remember those members who we've lost. Thank you very much. We say this more and more, it's okay to not be okay. And I'm pleased to say that this year, Kate and Taff have set up the Uplift, and they offer support, they offer advice, signposting, professional support to help skydivers who are experiencing mental health problems with alcohol and drug addiction, or have been affected by a traumatic incident in skydiving. They've been working very hard, and in conjunction with our insurers, Aviva, we now have access to a counselling line. It's available free of charge to all of our members, and I would encourage anybody who needs to talk to get in touch with them directly, or the guys at Uplift. I think it's Taff's doing a talk at 2 o'clock, conference room 1. They'll be covering more on this subject and an update on the Uplift. Someone you may not have heard of, but did a huge amount for the sport and the association, was Laurie St. John, an ex-chairman of the association. Laurie joined the parachute regiment in the 50s, and he did 25 military static line jumps during his service. After that, he joined the British Parachute Club at Fair Oaks in 1961, and his first civilian skydive was a 3-second delay from 1,500 feet. That's how they did it back then. Thankfully, things have progressed a little bit since then. His D license was 167. His BPA number is 257. He was a chief instructor in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. First stood for council in 1965, became vice chair in 1967, and was the 4th chair of the association in 1972. A charismatic leader who served for 5 years, keeping the BPA, as it was then, on an even keel. He was awarded life membership in 1977 in recognition of his service to the association, and his last jump was in Saffron Walden in July of 1981. There's so much more that I could say about Laurie, but in the interest of time, I have to move on, I'm afraid. But we do remember him with thanks and gratitude for his service to the association. Also want to mention Martin. We talked about Martin. Martin's name was read out in the We Remember. I know Martin meant a lot to a lot of people here. And I wanted to let you know that some friends of his from his time in Ireland, Dave Clark and Ken Moore, are over here, and they've offered to record memories and thoughts about Martin, to record them, to keep them, so that they can be relayed to his children in the future, so that they can get an understanding of what their father meant to people, which I think is a lovely idea. They're going to be in room 31, I think, in the hotel, if you want to go and share some memories with them. There's a sign-up sheet on the door if anybody wants to do that, so as not to disturb what's going on in that room, or talk to Fleur or Brian. Brian's here. and they'll sort you out. And they're also happy to record messages for anybody that we've lost. Moving on to statistics, my favourite bits. See how we've done this year. A lot of good stats. So looking at the full members first, which includes joint and life and retired, we are seeing a recovery, but we're not quite back to the pre-pandemic levels just yet. We did think that there would be a proportion of people who didn't return to the sport, after the pandemic, just because it was too much effort. After too long, they would, couldn't bring themselves to do it. And I think we're seeing that, and it will take a while, a little bit longer, to replenish those people with newer skydivers coming through the system. It does look quite dramatic on this graph, just because it's on a smaller scale. If we put it on a 0 scale, it doesn't look quite so bad. You can see the recovery. If we look at provisional members, which are predominantly tandems, but also AFF and category system, we can see a much better recovery here. We're back above the average of the last 12 years, and it's almost matching the peaks that we had in 2015 and 2017. Looking at students trained, almost our best year ever. Doing really well with students. We're just 600 short of the peak that we had back in 2016, where we had almost over 60,000. Now, it's PTOs who do most of the work when it comes to students. British Skydiving just provides the safety, administration, insurance and governance frameworks to support those operations. But a large part of these numbers was down to one PTO in particular, Go Skydive, who took over 10,000 students on their first jump last year, which I think is just incredible. Whilst it's not very clear on this graph due to the large proportion of tandems, this is how the solo methods break down. And as we can see from here, sadly, static line does continue to decline, despite seemingly bouncing back after COVID, and AFF remains as steady as ever. Descents, jumps during the year. It's been a good year, despite the cost of living crisis, which is engulfing everybody, and also, I think, helped by some good weather as well. Always helps. We're not quite back at the highs of the previous decade, but we are back at, I'm going to try and stop saying pre-pandemic levels, and just above the average of last 12 years. I've added an extra line this year, the red line. This is the incidence of malfunction and deployment problems that get reported to the office. They dropped during the pandemic, perhaps because people were being more cautious during a time when the NHS was severely overloaded, but when aren't they? But fortunately, it seems to have carried forward, so hopefully that will continue, and it's very good news. Whilst Go Skydive have been doing their bit for the tandems, Skydive Langer have been doing theirs for the fun jumpers. So this slide was from their Christmas party, I think, so it wasn't quite the end of the season, so I think they did another 1,000 on top of that. I think they did over 45,000 descents in the year, and that's a record. I don't think any drop zone has ever achieved that number before, so they must be doing something right. And their fun jump to tandem ratio is 12:1, just saying Go Skydive. Not comparing, but you know. We need more people coming into the sports than leave in order for us to grow the membership. And it's even more since I think this is the last time I say it, since the pandemic, because those who didn't return to the sports. So number is slightly more than before and almost back to the average. What's interesting is the discrepancy between the number on the students trained, which was about 1,000, and the A licenses issued, which is about 800. So 200 people who do a first jump or maybe more but don't progress to their A license. Skydiving is not for everyone, but you know there's potential there as well. Scotty does a lovely thing. Everybody know Scotty Milne? Ali Milne's dad? Active skydiving. Other AFF schools are available. Anyway, does a lovely thing. He gets all of his students to put a picture, send him a picture with their A licenses. And I think it's lovely. I think it's really great to see all these proud, excited faces just at the beginning of their skydiving journey. And I hope they all continue. Thank you, Scotty, for doing that. I love that. A wise-ish man once told me the secret to a good AGM, and that was to focus on 3 main topics. And for once, I'm going to take his advice. My 3 topics are what I consider to be the most significant things that have affected the board this year. And the first one is what we've dubbed future resource planning. Tony has been warning us for several years, Tony, our Chief Operating Officer, that he intends to retire, and after 40 years, this is the year, sadly. He has an incredible wealth of knowledge, and his departure will have such a fundamental impact and shift on the staff and the association that we do need to make sure we are very prepared for that. But it also presents us with an opportunity to reshape the organisation a little. With this in mind, the Future Resource Planning Working Group was set up in November of 2021, started working in earnest in February 2022. Set up their objectives. First was to review our current staffing level. All the staff were surveyed about their various roles and how the load shifts throughout the year. Their responses were collated by functional areas rather than the roles and calendarized to try and identify peak areas of the year. They also examined the staffing models at foreign skydiving associations, try and steal other people's homework, see how other people are doing it, although everyone's different, as well as other sporting national governing bodies in the UK. And used all this information to come up with a structure to address our future needs. The staffing models of other national skydiving organisations, as I said, were reviewed, and after review they decided to focus on 4 specific associations: Australia, Canada, Germany and the USA. They were sent a number of questions covering their remits, the detailed structure, including recent changes, allocation towards safety, volunteer support, external funding, any considerations. They were reviewing their structure and compared against what we do. This was repeated with other sporting national governing bodies in this country of similar size and similar function, both general associations and safety-specific ones. After a review of a few of them, British Fencing and the hang gliders and the paragliders were selected for answering more questions, more detailed questions. So with this research, the working group came up with the rationale. An evolving organisation while providing more progression opportunities and development pathways to engage and upskill our staff. Spread management empowerment. Currently, we're very reliant on our Chief Operating Officer, who himself spends half his time doing safety things, taking him away from operations and management. Increase the flexibility. This is to alleviate stress on staff at peak points during the year for planned and emerging work. Spread the core safety and training provision more. It became clear when we talked to the other international skydiving organisations that they had a significant amount more number of safety and training staff in their association. We are too reliant on the staff that we have, basically 1.5 headcount with Jeff, who's full-time, and Tony, as I said, split between operations and the safety side of things, so 1.5. And that's exacerbated by the antisocial nature of the job. Lots of courses, audits, incidents, and a lot of meetings with us guys. And it's a testament to the achievements that Jeff and Tony have managed, given the resource that they have. So thank you, guys. So the idea is to focus on opportunities with a CEO, a Chief Executive Officer, someone with measurable targets who's focused on achieving operational and commercial improvements for the organisation and supporting the delivery of our strategic plan. Someone who can hopefully reduce our reliance on membership fees, improve our commerciality, our business models. Additional safety and training roles. As I said, comparing previously, we're understaffed in that area. So we intend to double the headcount for the safety and training headcount so that we can ensure that we retain our world-leading status in the area of safety and regulation. And also an operational leader as well. This will become clearer when I show you the next slide. And functional teams that have flexibility built in with an administrator to be able to move those people around at peak times. Yeah, that's not great. So this is the proposal that they've proposed new structure that the working group came up with. I did try and improve the colours on it. Sorry, it's not very clear. It defines 3 main leadership roles. The Chief Executive Officer role under Council, which I've talked about, and then there's a split between Head of Safety, Training and Competitions and a Head of Finance and Operations. And hopefully this separation gives clearer and more practical lines of management. And underneath the Head of Safety, you see there, Safety and Training, the 2 extra members of staff that were recommended. There is a small note at the bottom as well that says the detail of this is to be determined by the new CEO when they are recruited. But the key recommendation is that extra number of safety and training staff. What are the next steps? There's been a lot of discussion about whether to appoint all 3 roles consecutively or to stagger them. Concern being that if a CEO is recruited from outside the sport, which is a possibility, would they have the knowledge and the technical expertise to make hiring decisions when it comes to safety? But we have to balance that also with the impact it would have on the team, somebody coming in and not being part of that, having that ability to mould that team as well in their how they would like it. Fair enough if they come into an existing organisation, but one that's just going through a reorganisation, is that fair? Perhaps not. But also we have an urgent need for safety staff right now. After much debate in both the working group and around the table, we decided to go for a phased approach. This has the advantage of enabling the incoming CEO to be part of the recruitment process and to help with those hiring of those heads of roles. It will also allow internal candidates to apply for the role of CEO if they wish. So we are currently seeking specialist HR advice to help us with this process, after which we're going to start the recruitment process very shortly. And then once we've recruited the CEO, then we will progress to the other roles. It'll be a staged transition, handing over to the CEO, onboarding and transferring the knowledge of how we operate. Tony will be retained in a safety capacity during that, after the transition, so after the handover, to help mitigate any risk that we have losing that knowledge, to make sure that we've still got that until we're happy, and then it will be phased out. Sorry, that's really dry, but it's really important. I bet you can't wait for me to move on to my second one, which is equally exciting. So I'm going to split it up with an exciting bit of video before I get onto my next piece. don't know what I'm doing, if that wasn't apparent. You might think there are lots of perks of being chair. There are zero. I don't even get to choose what goes in that video or how it's edited. But I do need to call out this picture here because I'm in it. But it's not about me. I was invited, and it's special because I don't have anyone strapped to the front of me either, so I'm actually doing some skydiving. But this was Martin Soulsby's, he had a get-together. He's been skydiving 40 years, and he was doing some 40 ways last year, and kindly invited me on. Thank you for inviting me on, Martin. Where are you? He's hiding. He's not admitting where he is. Thank you, Martin. Congratulations. I know he doesn't look that old, but 40 years in the sport. Amazing. So, next one. Sorry, try and get through this. Enough of the fun, on to the next big thing, our strategic plan for 2023 to 2027. This is out of sequence. Yeah, my notes are out of sequence. Trying to work out how I'm going to do this now. So this was our strategic plan for the last 5 years. I'm going to have to read my notes and be on to the next slide, sorry. It was the first implementation of a plan across a 5-year period. In retrospect, we focused on community, resilience, agility across key goals. We demonstrated forward thinking in line with how other NGBs operate within good governance. And now it's come to an end, and it gives us a renewed focus to ensure everything we do feeds into our plan. Going back to the feedback that I talked about earlier, I had one comment that I saw on there, and it was from somebody I will call Flora Champton. I don't know if she's in here. Nobody can guess who that is from there, is there? And she said that she felt that the old plan was passed over very briefly, and some people thought it was too long, but still too briefly. And after 5 years of work, did we feel it wasn't clear if we'd achieved our goals? I'm not going to answer that now because we're moving on, but I will say that everything that we did, every proposal that came to the board, we had a board template, and the board template ensured that every proposal aligned with at least one of those goals, and if not more, to ensure that we did. But it highlights the fact that we weren't really measuring what we were doing. So we had these targets, but there was lacking measurement. There was a bit on the form for impact and things like that, but it was not treated with the seriousness that it deserved. So big focus on the new plan is to make sure that it is measurable, so that we can determine, gauge our success and our process along the way. I'm getting myself confused. So, if I go back to my notes, it might be easier, rather than confusing people. So we had 2 strategy days last year where we learned from our previous plan and where our opportunities lay. We utilised the skill sets and the expertise of our independent directors, Rob and Joanne, who led our strategy day for us. And we concluded that the 3 key pillars that we have, and the pillars are the strength and the support that hold up the strategic plan and build on our vision, our people, growth, and long-term sustainability of the association. These pillars were then categorised into defining levers. They're the things that are necessary to make the plan work. And it was evolved with our purpose and vision, supported by our values. This is the purpose that came up with on one of the strategy days, which promote skydiving as a passion full of sport, a sport full of passion, build strong partnerships, and foster best-in-class regulatory practices with our safety expertise. For each of these goals, we set out 3 to 5 ways that we would like to achieve them. I'm not going to go into the detail now, but as the year goes on, we'll be sharing more about them, and specifically about the what, the how, and the when of measuring that performance and defining our success. It's important to know that the intention of the plan can be furthered by everyone, so that we can all help to be part of making the plan a success. So my last major thing that I want to talk about is good governance. And good governance is a term that's been bandied around by us and on this stage quite a few times in the past few years. But it's been more about our internal processes and policies and function. But now we are starting to turn that focus a little bit more outwards. I'm sorry to say there have been a number of safeguarding and ethical concerns that have arisen this year. It's just over a handful, but it's significant enough to take notice. I think we're all aware of the times that we live in. People are becoming more confident about speaking out, about raising issues, and rightly so, people are taking them more seriously and dealing with those. Nicola, our compliance officer, has been working very hard trying to deal with these issues and looking at how we can prevent them in the future. Challenging and changing unethical and inappropriate behaviours. By updating our policies, providing training and education, and sometimes discipline, even when it's necessary. She has the complete support of the board and the staff on this matter. And I would urge anyone, if you have any concerns, any worries, please do get in contact. They will be treated very seriously. Okay. Excuse me. So I said at the beginning, our review's gone out, and it has reports from the chairs of the committees and the staff, which enables me to cut my speech quite short. It's a shame. There is a lot in there. There's a lot of really good things that I want to call out. I'm not going to go into any detail, but I just do want to mention them. I'm going to cut them out, but then I'm going to put them back in. I know, but I've got to call them out. My notes are out of order again. MDC's coaching, foundation coaching is going live. Martin Soulsby is giving a talk, Conference Suite 3 at 3 o'clock. If you want to find out more, Equity and Diversity and Equality, Diversity, Inclusivity Working Group have set out an aggressive 5-year plan. EPC's Investment in Performance Working Group, focusing on best value for members with targeted investment to leverage our competition from grassroots to nationals. The support of initiatives such as the live streaming that happened at the 8-Way and the VFS at Peterlee this year. Or Finance Committee, who have a new reserves policy freeing up an excess in our reserves to help us achieve our association's objectives. But as I said, I don't need to talk about those because it's all in the paperwork. So please read that and talk to anybody if you want to know any more. Oh, and one more thing. Pet project, and my pet favourite of mine, is the Royal Aero Club Trust. It's really important to call out this every year because it's free money for our newest skydivers. Please apply if you're under the age of 21 or under. Talk to your chief instructor, they will help you apply for that. It's a bursary to help you fund achieving something such as competition or an instructor rating or coaching rating or such like. Seeing quite a core of PTOs here. I think there's 6 in total, so I think we could do with seeing a few more from other PTOs. That would be good. 14 out of the 25 bursaries awarded this year, again, went to British Skydiving. We're normally pretty lucky when it comes to that. 11 of the beginner bursaries and 3 of the advanced ones for people who are a bit older and have had one before. So please talk to your chief instructor if that applies to you. Get some free money for skydiving. Very interesting for me fact. 7 skydivers who were awarded bursaries in 2010, 4 of them competed in the recent World Championships in Eloy in several different canopies, including young Gregory, who never seems to age. Just want to say a few hellos. Welcome to some staff members. Stacey, who's joined us as an administration secretary, helping alleviate some of the load that was on Helen. So Helen is now full-time on competitions. Sadly, Angel left us in April and has been admirably replaced, if we can replace Angel, by Liam. I'm sure everyone knows Liam or is getting to know Liam, our new communications officer. And also Lisa. Lisa's not new to the association, but sadly Martin Shuttleworth did have to retire due to ill health. And Lisa was acting up in the role of Secretary General and has now been made permanent in that role. Want to say a couple of thank yous. I've got one that I'm going to squeeze in because I wasn't aware that they were going to be here today, so I'm just going to add this one. Paul Applegate, Apples, talked about him a couple of years ago. Sadly, we weren't meeting in person because of the COVID situation, so as he stood down from council, we weren't able to thank him and recognise him for his service. The longest serving council member ever, will not be bettered in the future. We have changed our governance now, so we can only have a maximum of 3 times 3-year terms. So Apples, we didn't get to say thank you last time, so if you please come up on stage. Got a small token of appreciation so we can actually say thank you in person. You take that. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Apples. My notes have gone. Not yet. I haven't finished mine yet. Can we go back to my presentation, please? I've confused them because I've done an award, and rightly they think it's an award. I can understand that, and I didn't explain that. So, but these are thank yous, not awards. We'll come on to the awards in a minute. Thank you. No, it's almost like we planned it. Sadly, after 12 years editing our magazine, 73 editions of our fantastic magazine, Liz has decided that she wants to take things a bit easier. As she was doing the editing alongside her demanding daytime job as a teacher, which can't have been easy. Yeah, got my notes back. Thank you. The quality of her work and her dedication has been exceptional, and the magazine, I'm sure you'll all agree, has gone from strength to strength during her tenure. Flocker, competitor, instructor, rigger, she's been there, she's done that, which is what makes her such a good editor, along with her fierce work ethic and strong attention to detail. Liz was honoured by the Royal Aero Club in 2013 with the Nexus Sporting Aviation Journalist of the Year trophy, and has now also been awarded a Certificate of Merit for serving the cause of sporting aviation by her work and devotion. And in recognition of all she has done, Council will also seem fit to award Liz with life membership of the association. So Liz, if you come up on stage, and so we can all say thank you. Oh, steady. So health and safety. So if you want to take it out, so I'll hold it. Huh? Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Huh? That's Liz. Is that 2000, Liz, when you started skydiving? 2000. Yeah. Again, somebody who hasn't changed. Oh, I forgot to put that up. Spent hours working on that, and I forgot to put it up. Thank you. This is what I do when I'm supposed to be writing the words. I play around with silly things in PowerPoint to try and make it look good. Somebody else I'd like to say thank you to, Dr. John Carter. John started jumping in 1973. He's held category system, tandem, and AFF instructor ratings, as well as pilot parachute examiner ratings. He's an FS and an FF coach. He's over 5,000 jumps and a certificate of aviation medicine. He's been our medical advisor since 1989, but he's now almost fully retired from the medical practice, and he wants to spend more time jumping than advising on it. Over the years, he's fielded hundreds of inquiries on medical matters, both with doctors and those within the sport. Basically, he advises everyone on medical skydiving: safety and training officer, safety and training committee, boards, panels, legal representatives, and insurers, as well as communicating with regulators and external organisations about why we do what we do. And John has never asked for anything in return for his years of dedication. John, being the kind of guy that he is, has still offered to carry on helping the association. He's going to continue to do any analysis that he can on incident and injury reports and any areas of expertise that he can offer. But just want to say, John, are you here? I think you are. John, please join us up on stage so we can say thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig. Very kind.
Thank you, John. Give it a box. Last but not least, Mr. Tony Butler. As I mentioned earlier, future resourcing planning was instigated because Tony said he intended to retire. Tony has a long history in the sport. His first jump was at Shobden in November 1973. Broke his leg on his 6th jump and his 15th, and dislocated his shoulder on his 30th. But to be fair, that was on C9 round canopies, so I think we'll give him a pass on that one. And he said modern canopies is what kept him in the sport. I've almost finished, guys. Hello. Better late than never. Few records along the way. First 4-stack, canopy 4-stack record in 1978. 64-way FS record in, I don't know what year that was, Tony, I couldn't find that. 126-way world record in 1987, as well as being a very regular competitor. Qualified as an instructor in 1978. Advanced instructor in 1981 and an examiner in 1982, and was one of the first tandem instructors in the UK in the early 80s. But it's as a member of staff at our national governing body that he has truly left his mark on skydiving in this country. He joined the BPA staff in late '82 as the Joint National Coach and Safety Officer, along with John Hitchin. The role split in 1982 and he became the Technical Officer, and finally COO in 2013 when Hitch retired and Jeff replaced Hitch as NCSO. Tony is synonymous with British skydiving, and he's been a pillar of the association for 40 years. He has dedicated himself to making our sports safer for all, and he is driven by doing his best. I'm reminded of the Queen when she passed and how many prime ministers she'd had. I look back and there have been 10 chairs during Tony's time, and by my reckoning, 191 directors and board members, and 193 including our new intake that will be joining us going forward. He's been a constant through that time, and it just won't be the same without him. This isn't quite goodbye though, since he's got a few months left before he does actually retire. And as I said earlier, he's still going to be retained in a safety capacity to help us with that transition and that handover. But I couldn't let Tony's last working AGM Expo pass without saying thank you. So Tony, please come up on stage. Just leave it there. Pick it up later. How are we doing for time? So what's in store for the future? As I've covered, new CEO and restructure, three main things: strategic plan and focusing on our good governance. Some other things as well, sport, voluntary code for good governance. The Sport and Recreation sector suggests external reviews every 3 years. We haven't done one of those since we adopted good governance, so it's about time we do that. We're going to do that this year. As I said, Liz is leaving. The economics of the printing the magazine has changed massively. I'm going to say it one more time, pandemic, and cost of living. So with Liz leaving, it's giving us an opportunity to evaluate. You should be aware of this. We are consulting with the membership what we intend to do with the magazine. Are we going to continue printing it, which will cost us a significant amount to do that, go digital, or something else? But we're currently wrangling with that one at the moment. Maybe a new chair. Might not be me up on stage next year. Thank you. Thank you. Waiting for that. Going to milk it while I can. Mary has decided to throw her hat in the ring for chair this year. We'll see how that goes at the meeting following this. But if this is my last time on stage, I just want to say thank you for everyone for humouring me. It's been fun. I'd also like to thank the board for their hard work during an incredibly difficult year. In fact, all the volunteers, who I always forget to mention, everyone who volunteers for the association, the staff, stakeholders, PTOs, everyone. Thank you. If I haven't mentioned you, thank you. That concludes my review. Are there any questions? Ruth?
Are our fabulous women's 4-way team in FTO to be awarded lifetime membership in view of their amazing achievement at the World Championships, in the same way as our previous gold medalists Storm and Jackie Smith received theirs?
Short answer, no. It's not compulsory for that to happen. It happens on a case-by-case basis. Any awards that the association do or do not award are generally confidential, so as not to embarrass or get anybody's hopes up because of that. But this year, no, the association has decided not to award that.
One more question, if that's okay. Is it an oversight by whoever manages the website, which is Skydive website, that there's no mention of FTO's achievement in the news section? And has there been a press release that I've missed, or has it not been made? And
Yep. It's not an oversight, no. It's a complex matter. It's a difficult matter. It's a matter that is potentially will go legal. So I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to be able to explain any further than that. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Read the future of the magazine. Can you tell us where we're up to at the moment? Have you analysed the feedback from the membership?
We have.
And what will be the process going forward?
We have analysed the feedback. The feedback, unsurprisingly, is mixed. There is no clear option one way or the other, which is usually what happens when you ask people these questions. We're currently talking to other associations, see what they do, reviewing their numbers, their advertising. We're networking with people who might be potentials. As has happened in some of our previous roles, people have come to us through talking, not through advertisements. So it's, Liz is actually out there talking to people, encouraging people. She's put in her editorial for people to come forward. People who've got ideas that might take that forwards. So that's where we're at the moment. We're still evaluating the finances and the possibilities. The thing is, it's difficult, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. We've had a magazine for a long time. It costs a lot of money, but we're in a modern age. Do we need to adapt? Do we need to change that? We still have some statutory requirements that we need to achieve, and we're still grappling with that. So, but we have a deadline because of our contract that ends with our current publisher, and Liz leaving as well. So it is a priority, and we'll keep you updated with what's happening. If anybody does have any expertise, interest, knowledge in editing, or ideas for how to take it forward for a digital version, then please get in contact. We are looking for inspiration.
Or ideas for getting more advertising.
Yes. There was a dedicated team at the publishers whose sole job was to chase and encourage and cajole and get advertisers. So, and we've widened that to outside the sport, but it has changed since the pandemic. It's harder. It's much harder. And the cost, and battling the cost of living and the prices increased as well to overcome that. It's just making it very difficult. Steve.
I noticed that from 4 years ago, in the December mag, there was 24 advertisers paying in 2018, and there was 6. So I don't know whether the printers have just lost the will to approach.
No, absolutely not.
But I just think there's a set case, either in this room or in that room. You've notably got everybody who advertises in the magazine, and it'd be a really good opportunity just to have a, while we've only got 6 full pages advertising.
I agree. Times have changed, though. It's difficult, but we try. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, guys. One more voting item, agenda item number 6, to receive and adopt, if approved. Is this you, Tash? Do you want to do it? I've had enough talking. Go on. Sorry. I'm going to hand over to our treasurer. That's me, Tash Higman, who's going to cover the next item. I think they think I've finished.
So I'm not meant to speak so long, so I don't get a roving mic. So despite having dressed in corporate colours, you don't really get to see that. So I'm a bit disappointed by that, but hey. The grey, boring accountant stuff up there, there's going to be lots of that. So the agenda item is to receive the accounts. I understand now why Craig kept looking up there, because actually it's really small, the presenter notes down there. To receive and adopt the statutory annual report of the directors and annual accounts for the year ended June 30th, 2020. Do I have a proposer? Yes. Who's taking notes as to who's putting their hands up? We don't. Okay, fine. So we have a proposer. Do we have a seconder? Yes, I can see a seconder. Is there anyone against? Is there any abstentions? In which case it's carried. So thank you very much for that. Agenda item 8 is the reappointment of our auditors. The role of an auditor is to report to you, the members, that the stuff that we directors have put into the annual report is true and fair. So they report to you on how we tell our story. Not every company has a great chair who stands and tells you everything. And so the accounts for some companies is the only way that's communicated. Last year, you agreed with our suggestion to change our auditors, and you agreed to appoint Rowley's to be our auditors, and this was our first year with them. The work with them went very well, very smoothly, and we would like to ask you to reappoint Rowley's as our auditors. Do I have anyone proposing that? Yes, I can see a hand. A seconder? Yes, down there. Thank you. Is there anyone against? Anyone abstaining? Nope, and that's carried as well. Now the really exciting stuff. This is why it's quite good that I've got like a buffer here. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. And I really can't read. No, and I really can't read the notes that are down there, despite wearing my glasses. Our Articles of Association place responsibility of fixing the annual subscriptions on the members at the AGM. So therefore, you decide what the subscriptions are. However, we as a board and our directors, we make a suggestion to you because we have made a commitment to achieving certain goals and certain plans, and we then determine how much money we need to achieve those plans, and on that, based on that determination, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment, we then make a proposal and suggest that to you to be our member subscription. But ultimately, you are the people who decide whether you accept that. Our member subscription consists of two parts, an insurance and a British skydiving part. So I'll talk about the insurance part first. All insurance premiums are a combination of claims and the likelihood of a risk arising, which is why no claims discounts on cars are so important, because if you have no claims, your premium comes down. We know all that. The risk side of things at British Skydiving has not changed significantly over the years. We have a robust process of analysing our incidents and adjusting our rules and approaches to safety through the STC and the work of the chief instructors. And so that side of things actually very rarely impacts on our insurance premium. However, the claims do. And our insurers have, in the past, been very supportive and very helpful and reduced insurance premiums when claims have gone down. However, when claims go up, they need to increase the insurance premiums. And unfortunately, that's what's happened recently. So the insurance element of the membership subscription is being set by our insurers at these levels for this type of membership. I'll now start talking about the British skydiving element. And I want to give you a bit of an insight as to how we come up with this number, because we don't just sit there and spin a wheel and think, oh, that looks like a good number. We run a very detailed annual zero budgeting process. So every March, all the chairs of the committees are asked, how much money do you think you're going to spend to achieve the things you want to achieve over the year? They always have to start from zero. If they've asked for money last year and haven't spent it, they can ask for it again, but it doesn't get automatically handed over. So every single item that anyone wants to spend money on gets put into this budget sheet. Each of the committees and the office send all their sheets to me, and I add it all up. And then we have a total amount of money that we as an association would like to spend to achieve our goals. The Finance Committee and I then come up with our estimate of what we think our income is likely to be, which is our estimate of the number of members multiplied by the British skydiving element of the subscription. And if those two numbers are such that the income is higher than the costs, great, everything's approved, no problem. But if the income is lower than the amount of money that's been asked for by everyone, we need to think about how we deal with that. And there's 3 simple ways you can deal with it. You can either dip into the reserves and take some of the savings that we had from the past. You can reduce your costs, or you can increase your income. And for the last 2 years, we've done a combination of those first 2 things. So we've dipped in our reserves, we've run a deficit for the last couple of years, and used money that we'd saved previously. And we've also looked at cutting our costs. And our sponsored athletes know, for example, that they no longer get contributions to their training. That side of the sponsorship has been removed. And we do a whole range of other things to try and cut our costs as an association altogether. Martin Lewis's advice gets listened to and taken where possible. We've been working with some PTO, with our PTOs around reducing our bank charges, because if they send us the provisional membership fees that they collect on our behalf on an invoice basis by bank charges rather than through our credit card system, then less of that money ends up going to the bank. And so therefore, more of that money ends up being available for all of us to spend. So all of us are contributing to saving costs where possible. However, we can't keep doing that. We can't keep dipping into our savings. Craig was showing our goals in the future is to have a sustainable organization. And we need to find a way of actually breaking even. And the only real way that we can break even is to increase our income. Based on our assumptions and our predictions that we have on our membership numbers, we're expecting, we would like to increase our membership subscription amount by this amount. So if you add all of those together, the total will come to this. And those of you who are good with numbers or who take a close, detailed look at this will recognize that, yes, this is an increase. But everything is getting more expensive. You know, all our costs, everything that if we buy the same things we've been buying, we're having to spend more money on that. So our costs are going up. This is the pattern of our membership subscriptions over the last 20 years. And here on the red part, you can see actually what I was talking about earlier for the insurance companies is when our claims went down, the insurance premium came down. And British skydiving membership subscriptions have slowly gone up over the years. I would say that just in terms of the number of staff we have now, we have more staff than we had 20 years ago, which invariably means we have more costs. And what we're trying to do is just achieve more. We have greater activities that we need to oversee, the safeguarding activities, the work, the good governance, the implications of all of those. This line here, the grey line, which I hope everyone can see, is if we had just taken the 2003 membership and only increased it by inflation every year. And you'll see that actually, if over the last 20 years all we had done is increase things by inflation, we'd have probably ended up pretty close to where we are right now. And the reason why the increase this year feels so steep is because we didn't have an increase for the last 2 years. So what I'd like to ask you to do is to vote in favour of these membership subscriptions. Have I got anyone who will propose that? Sorry?
What is the pound amount increase on last year?
I don't have that number here. I'll have to go and look it up. But I can look it up. Sorry, there's lots of people talking at once. So I was asked whether I have the actual absolute amount difference. I don't have that information here right now. I can look it up and I can come and get and provide.
14. 14.
Okay, yeah. £18.31. So I had a proposer over there. Do I still have a proposer? And I have a second hand. I'll take you as a seconder. Do you have anyone against? Have any abstentions? No? Okay, that's carried.
There are 58 proxies in favour.
Yeah, and we've got proxies in favour, but overall, thank you very much, everyone.
A couple of quick bits on the agenda. Received the results of the election this year. Welcome to our new councillors. There will be a meeting following the awards in the hotel, the first meeting of the year, council meeting in the Worcester room. Any member is welcome to attend and observe. And a reminder to any council members to please come to that meeting who are here. And all that's left is for me to close the meeting, and we are now followed by the awards.
Normally this is the most popular bit, but obviously you heard me last year and you're all doing one, so I'll make this as quick as I can. However, we do want to respect the people that get the award. So last year I was told to speed it up. I thought I did quite a good job, but I got some feedback, as Craig did. Some people thought it was still too long. Some people thought it was way too quick. So I'll try not to rush people on the stage so you get your little bit of glory. But just to make things slick, when you do come down for your awards, please come down to that side of the stage, up on the stage, get your award, shake hands, do all the good stuff there. Then across the back, carefully down the steps, and photos taken on that side. We'll do the awards in two parts. I'm going to do the General Skydiving Awards, and then I'll hand over to Mary as Chair of EPC to do the competition-related awards. So the first award that we're going to award is the Jim Crocker Trophy for Outstanding Contribution to Skydiving. This is our most senior award that we give out every year. For his significant and sustained contribution to British skydiving, Council is delighted to confer the British Skydiving's most senior award, the Jim Crocker Sword, on Pete Allen.
Do you want to read it out while I do this?
I am going to read it out, but they jumped the gun. So, Pete, you can stand there for a little while. I've got quite a long talk I've got to do. OK, Pete learned to pack his first parachute at the age of 10 and started jumping at 15. All right, which I think is probably too long ago that we can do anything about, so we'll give you that one, Pete. It's been his lifelong passion ever since. He became one of the UK's first... one of the first in the UK to hold a USPA AFF rating at the age of 20 back in 1984. Started competing in 85 and was British FS champion 4-way and or 8-way every year from then until 2003 and represented the UK internationally. After a 4-year stint competing for Italy, winning their nationals every year and winning the international medals in both FS and CP, Pete returned to competing for the UK and became the indoor national champion in 2015-2016. With over 35,000 jumps, he is the UK's most experienced jumper and is highly sought after for his coaching, organising and mentorship. Adept at multiple disciplines in our sport, he has developed acclaimed training programmes spanning many of them. Despite all his achievements, he says he's still learning every day. Last year, Pete was inducted into the International Skydiving Museum's Hall of Fame, class of 2022. He is now on a mission to future-proof skydiving by making it sustainable and address the negative impact our sport has on the environment. Pete is a truly inspirational athlete. He is a true ambassador for the sport, and time has come to honour one of our greatest skydivers. Council have also decided to bestow Pete with a life membership to the association in recognition of his dedication to skydiving. got in writing here, Pete is now to be invited onto the stage to be presented, but he's obviously beat me on that. Congratulations, Pete. Very well, very good.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mum and Dad.
Thank you. The presentation of the Sword Trophy will also take place at the Royal Aero Club Medals and Awards ceremony at the RAF Club in May this year. Well done, Pete. The next award is the Taz Corsa Trophy for Experienced Skydivers of the Year. Council called for nominations from the membership to win the Taz Corsa Award for Experienced Skydiver of the Year for 2022. The most votes from council members in deciding on the nominations received from members determined this year's recipients. I'm delighted to announce that the members of Team Omni Free Fly have won the Taz Corsa Skydiver of the Year Award 2022. I'll read it, yeah. So, the reason that they got it then, which I should have read before the music, I thought they'd have got it right after the first one, but maybe not. Okay. Together, Martin Robinson, Greg Lucas and Dan Guest made up Omni Free Fly. They're also part of the four-way VFS team Omni 99, which has been going from strength to strength since forming nearly a decade ago. Members of Omni 99 give a good deal of time to encouraging newcomers to VFS and driving forward initiatives to strengthen the discipline. They have been our national VFS champions every year since 2015 and represented British skydiving at an international level in 2016, 18 and 2022. They have also been UK Indoor VFS champions, represented Team GB at 2015 and 2019 World Indoor Skydiving Championships and are active in the indoor dynamic tunnel flying community. Between them, Omni 99 have also held various world, European and UK head-down records, and they were all on the 200-way head-down record attempts in 2022. In 2022 has seen Dan, Martin and Greg take an already impressive achievement up a level. They didn't just compete across disciplines and categories at the Nationals, Freestyle, Free Fly and VFS, they took this approach to the World Championships where they competed in both Free Fly and VFS. We can't think of any other members of British skydiving team who have taken part in completely different disciplines in the same world meet. It's a remarkable achievement to do that and be bronze position in Free Fly at one point and in fourth place at the end of the competition is exceptional. Greg, Dan and Martin managed to do all this without ego and with a real sense of fun and enthusiasm for learning through the challenges in Free Fly at the World Championship. Their free routine had Martin and Dan performing with Greg filming, and for the compulsories, Dan was filming with Martin and Greg, which needed 8 suit changes, including 5 different suits between the 3 of them. So they are truly flyers with a passion for sport and a passion for the sport that really shines. So well done, guys. I'll get it right this time. I'll do all my talking before the music. So, Instructor of the Year Trophy 2022. Chief Operating Officer and the Safety and Technical Officer choose the Instructor of the Year, and it is awarded to an instructor who has gained an instructor rating within the past 12 months. The criteria used is that the instructor did very well on their instructor course and is the type of instructor that students would be very happy to turn to for advice. Having been in the sport for many years and already a category system instructor, The recipient has always applied enthusiasm and dedication whilst teaching students. The recipient's home PTO made the decision to discontinue static line training. This meant this year's recipient would struggle to maintain currency. Therefore, the recipient opted to try to become an accelerated freefall instructor, and after a great deal of hard work, obtained that rating in 2022. The CAO and the STO have chosen Stephen Burden from Skydiving Peterlee as Instructor of the Year 2022.
Congratulations, good effort.
The Star Awards. We all know there are many examples of a fantastic service within our sport, and we believe it's time for them to be recognised. That's why we asked A licence holders and above to tell us about great service that they received at a British skydiving affiliated parachute training organisation, or PTO. Or from another British skydiving member to tell us if they've spotted a British skydiving star. Each eligible nomination has been considered by a panel of judges made up of the 5 British skydiving vice presidents. This year's winners of the British Skydiving Star Awards for 2022 are Kate Lindsley and Pete Mather. Too quick. Might as well say it. Judges' certificates. So, national judges' certificates awarded for the following judges who qualified in 2022. Marco Bormarizzi for wingsuiting, Chantal Warren for CF speed and wingsuiting, and Lucy Westgarth for speed. Jump and freefall certificates. 5,000 jump certificate awarded to Alan Thompson, and a 5,000 jump and 72 hours freefall certificate awarded to Richard Orford.
So it falls to me as chair of EPC to have the very lovely task of awarding the medals for the overall medalists for the UKSLs in 2022 and the Grand Prix in 2022. So I'm going to try and move through it as quickly as possible so that we can draw a close to this part of the day. And I'm going to start with the accuracy landings. And following the process that we used last year, I'm going to go discipline by discipline and just call everybody up onto the stage. Hopefully that will be nice and smooth. So starting with our accuracy landings. For our junior sports accuracy landings champion goes to Johnny Buffalong. And our intermediate sports accuracy landings champion is Jess Saunders. And senior sport accuracy landings champion is Nathan Lewington, who I believe can't attend today, so won't be up on stage. And our senior class overall accuracy landings champion goes to Les Carroll. So canopy formation. This is going to get a bit awkward. So rookie class, overall champions, we have Team Corkscrew. And intermediate class overall champions in two-way sequential are Team Stack It Up Before You Wrap It Up, but I believe they're unable to attend. And then in senior class, our overall champions are Team Airspace Invaders, who I believe are also unable to attend. And I'm disappearing this way. CF, we've got four-way, and our four-way sequential overall champions are Airspace Invaders. Again, we don't think they're here. And in four-way rotations, we've got Team Car Crash. With formation skydiving, in rookie class, our bronze medalist winners are Team Hurricane. I believe we have got somebody here to pick up medals. Oh, yeah. And our silver medalist winners are Team Chaos Unit. And then our overall champions, our gold medalists, are Team RAF Hurricane. flow going. We've got quite a few FS champions to get through. So I'm going to carry on with our four-way A class. And our bronze medalist winners in that category are the Winged Hussars. Our silver medalist winners are Team Tilstock. And our overall champions, our gold medalists in this category are Breakfast at Tiffany's. In double A class, our bronze medalists are the real Kim Shady. We have joint silver medalists. So we have Team Silver Linings and Team Squad Games. Well done, guys. And then our overall medalists in this category are Team Spread Eagles. Congratulations.
He's going to sell them.
I've gone a bit too fast there.
That's good. Keep it going.
So I'm going to keep it going with FS. We have more. In our AAA class, we have joint bronze medalists, Team Apex, and Team Vantage. And we have so many medals this year because we also have joint silver medalists. So we have Slippery Seals and We're All Called Paul. Oh, you got a medal as well. Excellent. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much.
And then, lastly, our overall champions in this category, our gold medalists, are Team Chimera.
Going to get in the mag.
This
That's
is
how
good.
it's all about.
This is good going. All the more hugs.
Always.
Cheers, Mary.
Pleasure. Well done.
Cheers.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And with that, I'll hand back to Craig.
Well, that's it. We're done. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. See you next year.